Ronnie Simpson, a U.S. war veteran injured in Iraq, found passion and belief in the future based on sailing.
I've always had a dream of racing around the world single-handed. I had a chance to do this race called the Global Solo Challenge.
An attempt to sail fully around the world. It was very unique for Shipyard to take this kind of commitment.
Looking for sponsors, I would always kind of compare it to dating someone who didn't want to date you. So you're like pursuing someone or something, and then you would just get this like rejection. And I was like, when I meet my right sponsor, it's going to click.
All the people in my company thought, what are you, crazy to commit this kind of capital and energy to an event?
And the sponsorship that was really kind of out of emotion versus any type of calculated return on investment or anything like that, I would call it a major love story. Most unusual and biggest sponsorships that Shipyard Brewing Company has ever done. I met Ronnie through Marissa Verino, a niece of two friends of mine, Johnny Verino and Vinny Verino. And she set up the introduction. I went into that with no belief would ever get involved in a major sponsorship.
We have Fred Forsley, who is the founder and CEO of Shipyard Brewing. Also, Ronnie Simpson, skipper of Shipyard Brewing, who is about to embark on the Global Solo Challenge.
USPatriotSailing.org is an organization that's set up for veterans so they can experience sailing, learn to sail, take it to whatever heights. And Ronnie Simpson took it to a whole new level.
Everyone has their own story of how they got into sailing, and mine in particular was that 15 years ago, when I was 23, I got into sailing unintentionally as a means of recovery and exploration and therapy and everything else. I got wounded in Iraq quite seriously when I was 19 years old in the Marines. And I reached a point in my life where I realized I wasn't quite happy, and I decided to change it, and I got into sailing. And sailing gave me so much. Sailing saved my life. I was on a path that was not a great path, and then sailing really put me on a much more prosperous path and made me a very inspired individual. And I think at the end of the day, it's what a lot of these guys and girls need, is just some inspiration. Sailing certainly gave that to me.
You have to feel a connection to the brand, to that sport. Obviously, sailing and Shipyard, there's a direct connection. That's why we've been a big part of sailboat racing and why we like to support these racers and these communities.
I've always loved sailing. My brother Richard was an officer in the Navy, and he got a J-24 Invictus, and we sailed it. My dad was a Navy guy, and he was a prisoner of war in the South Pacific, and he started a home for veterans in Gray, Maine with my mom, and we ran it as a family. And he was a behavioralist and believed that a passion in something, whether it's making rugs or gardening or lawnmower, whatever it is, if you have something to focus on, an interest and a passion, it'll keep you moving forward in life and having a purpose. And this Global 50 got me excited. It's truly a major undertaking at all levels. And I'm excited for Shipyard Brewing to be involved, and really feel strongly that people will support Pumpkinhead Pete and Ronnie sailing around the world.
I always hoped I would find a title sponsor, and I had no idea it would be Shipyard Brewing from Portland, Maine. So it's really cool how everything has evolved, and it's very unscripted, and it's been an incredible experience. I didn't even know how I was going to pay for the last good chunk of change until Shipyard Brewing came on board, until you helped find that support, which has just been phenomenal. And I just kept telling myself every day, like, I don't quite know how I'm going to get to the start, but I am going to get to the start. And day by day, it just kind of continues to work out.
The reality is, I think no matter what, people need a passion and a goal. It's a crazy thing and a crazy idea, but Ronnie has the ability and the passion. That's what's exciting about this. It's an example of how someone can find a vision and a passion. And there are a lot of people in the world right now that need examples of that. It's not important to win. What's important is to want to win. So that passion of not only finishing, but winning, I think is what Ronnie has. I'm excited about seeing you out there, Ronnie.
It's been really cool that that Shipyard as a brand, but also Fred Forsley as an individual are, I think, so closely aligned. And so when Marissa and I were telling Fred what we're going to do and everything, he was just like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, this is awesome. We were on board. So, I mean, there was no convincing that had to take place because we found an aligned sponsor and we found an aligned brand. And I think that's something that's really cool. And the fact that, that there is already this kind of coordinated effort of, hey, how can we do this well and try to go to the next level and do the Vendée Globe? That's immensely exciting for me. And Shipyard's an incredible brand. I see a lot of upside potential in terms of the marketing and everything else, but it's really cool that it's, I think like even Shipyard Brewing, there's a sailing, like there's a tall ship on the logo. It's just been so easy and smooth and like very, like I said, just natural and organic.
Overall, looking back on 2024, that this was something I feel and still feel that was a great thing to support, and thankful for all everybody did within our company and others outside the company did to support Ronnie Simpson in his quest.
Here's a toast to you. Everybody, cheers to Ronnie. Cheers to Shipyard Brewing, and cheers to the crew. Cheers.